join us for this afternoon session of day 2 of the World AI Show here in Jakarta. I'm pleased to moderate today's panel with our distinguished speakers, and I think we should just dive right in. Given the background of recent security challenges that we faced here in the country, cybersecurity is very topical and it's increasingly important. And now we're faced with the idea that AI could be advancing threats perhaps faster and further than human actors can do. So that adds another layer of complexity to your roles as cybersecurity professionals. With that backdrop, I'd first like to turn to Mr. Felix Jinga, who is the CTO of Govtech Indonesia. And I'd like to know, as the CTO of Govtech, how do you see Indonesia's public digital infrastructure evolving in response to specifically AI-enabled cyber threats? Do you feel like the government systems are adequately prepared for adversarial AI, deepfakes, synthetic identity attacks, or any other perhaps attack vectors of which I'm not aware? It'd be good to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay. Hello guys. Yes, there's a really important questions. Maybe talk. So as a CTO of Govtech procurement, so I mainly focus on country government's procurement systems. It's a pretty crucial infrastructures in this country. As many things that the government do are procuring things, right? So I can only speak actually for what I do and have visibility on, and all of this is like my personal opinions. So, but from where I stand, seeing how AI-powered cyber threats are growing, Indonesia's public digital infrastructures is definitely like stepping up its game, right? But specifically for procurements, my area, so we see like the government is like smartly teams up with the private sectors like ours, so that we can bring in folks actually who work in various private sectors, like and that's can help us move faster and often like they use ladder stack to help government. And also, of course, we also work hard as possible to be as ready as possible within our means for cyber threats. But yeah, for doing so, like we really need to partnering with the right expert, right, to fend off those AI-driven cyber attacks, using tools maybe like advanced firewalls, like global content delivery networks, and whatsoever. Like on top of that, we also like rely heavily on what we call threat intelligence. So, but basically, we are trying to stay like super informed about like what the bad guys are doing, right? So, what new tricks are they using? And where they might strike next. So some intelligence that we get, maybe some like a group APT, some things is maybe trying to attack on like a digital banking infrastructures, maybe Santa, maybe have also the intels, things like that. But yeah, but that just to give you an idea, like our procurement digital infrastructures is, as of now, we are speaking, is maybe already seeing like at least 6 to 7 billion attacks. 7 billions, it's not millions, 7 billion attacks alone until right now. So it's massive. And a core reason also for government to do this partnership, I think, is like the access to the top talents, like the companies we work with, like leading security vendors. They can attract like a world-best cybersecurity expert, security researchers, and even like maybe former like a black hat hackers or white hat hackers. And also they like have resources and constant challenges like to from protecting their vast customer base. So which means their teams are always learning and staying ahead of the curve, and that's actually important for in the government sectors to do that. So basically, like it's like having a 24/7 so world-class security teams constantly working on our behalf. Like it's something like maybe a single government agency is would find incredibly is very challenging to build and sustain on its own, given the competitive talent landscape. Yeah. So yeah, and also like beyond the technology, maybe another crucial part of evolution is like, at least in my experience in Govtech procurement, is like with digital transformation, is the government willingness. So the government needs to be willing first to actually revisit and amend existing regulation to better suit this newer era, right? So while changing regulation isn't always a fast process, getting everyone on board like with new methods can be a challenge. But this commitment to updating the regulations shows people systematic effort to adapt. Right? It's a vital, albeit often slow, right? Steps in truly like modernizing and securing our digital infrastructures actually for against like the future threats. Yeah. So, but I cannot like speak for every government sectors. No. But from what I know, like many are also partnering with private companies, like bringing in like fresh talents. Like maybe it like seems like a pretty prepared effort, at least for me across the board, at least in the areas that I'm familiar with. So yeah, maybe that's one hell of like a long answer
really good.
from me. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, so you touched on the importance of public and private partnerships there. Also, the need to share information and stay on top of this threat intelligence, with a nod there to Pak Sankata. And I will turn to Pak Sankata, the next Tuesday VP IT Strategic and the head of Architecture and Innovation at BRIN, obviously a leading major national bank. And Pat, I'm curious, how are AI-driven systems being used to identify fraud patterns or insider threats? And maybe also, what challenges do you face in deploying AI securely within your core financial systems?
Yes. Okay. That's a very interesting question. I think because the first time I hear regarding the fraud is banking equivalent to fraud, because banking equivalent to money. That's very funny anecdote, but it's true. It's true. Around 60 to 70% of the fraud case in banking usually based on inside involvement. Another 30%, 30 to 30 plus percent through the outside, which is from our inside report. From those 30% fraud case, in these years, the involvement of the AI usage for the fraud is amazingly high. That's very interesting. So for us itself, for BNI, where I'm working on, I give example of two cases. The first one is we handling the transaction fraud from all the channels. BNI have a lot of channels. The mobile banking, internet banking, and others channels like brands and everything. To handle that, we use fraud detection system powered by AI. So for all the analytical of the anomaly transaction, any abnormal behavior of the customer, any abnormal activity, everything is being recorded and analytical, and also some of the height to the threshold, because we set some threshold of the scoring. This will make us to do the automation handling. So for that we use AI to handle those. But for the high scoring, is need also to have the human involvement. Why? Because we trust Indian AI. We trust AI must be governed. AI must be governed. That's why for every highly risk transaction or every high risk issue that being found must need to be verified again by human. That's to ensure that we have full control of the AI. Not everything of the AI can be 100% accuracy. We must know that. AI help us, but this doesn't mean that we must leave it all to the AI. We must have the high quality control of the usage, high quality control of what the decision that we must do or we must make. Especially that involving big numbers, big financial impact, and also involvement of our customer data. And also to have that, we also ensure that, like Felix mentioned before, for the banking, OJK already released the AI guidance for the Indonesia banking. It's a very good guidance and also principle in there. So that's what we are trying to do to make AI more ethical. Not only for having AI in place, not only to having AI as the selling point of the IT, but also to make it more resilient, well governed, and also well development. Why I say well development is because like this. When we implement AI, there are three things that must make sure. The first thing is regarding the data. Don't get me wrong, not all data is good. AI can be sometimes biased, clearly biased, and sometimes, currently, right now, what we are facing is temper data training. It is very, very funny and is inside activity. Data temper for the training is very biased. Secondly, is the secure AI development in the life cycle to make sure how we can develop AI from the modeling, verify the modeling, verify the data, do the risk mitigation needs, like high level of verification, do the testing, and also in the deployment. When we do deployment, we must understand that at the end of the day, AI is system. AI is binary. It cannot be run out of the security checklist. It cannot be out of security testing and everything. Everything must be in place and everything must be onto our life cycle development, which is very important to have us to understand that all the hype, all the functionality, all what AI can be offer for us, everything must be good governance. That's the very important thing to do to make sure that you have fraud in place. You maybe have threat monitoring in place, because if we can say now almost all the solution that you find in the marketplace usually selling with AI embedded, AI capability inside, powered by AI, everything. But you must make sure that garbage in, garbage out. Garbage process, wrong processing. Everything must be ethical governance. That's all I think. That's the very high challenge that I see in our implementation.
Really good insights. Thank you there, Pak Sankata. Particularly talking about the need for accountability and explainability in AI, maybe a topic that we can come back to later in the session. So some good information there about how a leading national bank is deploying and dealing with AI challenges. I'll move over to Mr. Aman Kumar, who's Senior Director of EC Council Global Services, for a bit of a more international perspective, operating across ASEAN. How prepared are Southeast Asian enterprises to handle AI amplified threats? And do you believe we are investing enough in things like cyber forensics and incident response automation?
I think so. All right, so thank you so much, Tom. First of all, let us understand, by the way, when we see that are we prepared enough, right? So when we say, are we prepared enough? Yes, we are. We are doing things, but we are doing only at the top tier level. Only the banks, only the industries who have money. They're the ones who are investing. But we also at the same time forget that we generally work in a very hyper-connected environment. So a bank might have a supplier who does not have that budget, right? So are they investing? Are they prepared for it? Simple answer is no. Also at the same point of time, we need to understand that just by doing, say, cyber forensics and security automation, that does not really serve the purpose. You might have tools, but as Sir said, garbage in, garbage out. Right? What is the data that have been used to train those models? Right? As he said, very rightly said, every tool is coming with AI embedded, AI powered. But are we sure that how those models will train? Are we getting the right kind of output that we're expecting out of that? One more primary thing that comes into mind in terms of readiness is regulations. Are the governments putting enough regulations in the market to manage the risks arising out of AI? So, as I very openly say in other forums also, regulation is just a piece of paper until and unless it is enforced. And what we see generally across not just Southeast Asia, you talk about other countries as well, in US, India as well. There is a regulation, but the enforcement is not very high. And by that I mean, if you look at GDPR, right, it came long back. Southeast Asia is now revising GDPR, which is like 10, 15 years down the line. So it definitely somewhere behind. And on top of that, if you think about readiness towards AI, we are talking about two different skills. We are talking about AI and we are talking about cybersecurity. And there's a major skill gap in both. We are not prepared for cybersecurity. We already have a large chunk of, say, unmanaged jobs out there. We do not have the talent for cybersecurity. On top of that, we do not have the talent for AI. And now when we merge both of them, AI and cybersecurity, I think so there's a huge skill gap that we face going forward. So very simple answer, very straightforward answer, no, we're not, right? We have to do a lot more. We have to enforce, we have to build, we have to scale. And there's a lot more that we need to do right now, because at the end of it, it would be a game where we would be playing catch up again with the hackers. So a lot more to do.
Yeah, it sounds like the obvious trap to fall into would be to use AI to close that skill gap. And that sounds like a pretty dangerous proposition. Which means there might need to be some more research done. And I'll turn to Dr. Tito Akachaya, who is head of AI, OT, and robotics at BRIN and the co-founder of Forum Satria. With your deep involvement, Doctor, in AI R&D and systems architecture, how vulnerable are current Indonesian AI models to adversarial attacks? And follow up, what kind of AI red teaming, maybe you can perhaps explain, and model hardening practices should become standard in the market?
Okay, thank you, Tom. First of all, about the adversarial attacks. in the AI concept, I think adversarial attacks is the attacks on AI models in which the attacker wants to make the system behave erratically or produce an unexpected result, right? So there are several types of attacks that can be done in terms of adversarial that I can think of. The first one is injection. The second one is infection. The third one is evasion. The fourth one is poisoning, and the fifth one is distraction. There are lots more, but there are like the five tops adversarial attacks that can be done to the AI system. So in the cybersecurity world, like we have the terms of red teaming, in which there's a team whose task is to try to penetrate the system, and then there's a blue team whose task is also to defend the system. So for each type of attacks, there are certain red team and blue team strategies that can be implemented to simulate or handle those attacks. So first, for the injection attacks, so the red team can make several malicious inputs to the system and try to see whether their input can change the primary direction or system prompts of the system itself. And then for the blue team, on the other hand, they need to protect the system prompts by using like several unique tokens in order to protect the system prompts. So the user cannot just hijack and change the direction of the system. And then for the second one is about the infection. So the red team can make certain triggers to during the fine tuning of the system, and then after the training is done, during the post training, try to see whether the trigger can be triggered and make the system behave erratically. So in order to solve that, a blue team needs to do some kind of input data sanitation, and then try to see whether there's a anomaly in the input data. So the anomaly should be omitted from the training data. That's how to solve the infection. And the third one is about evasion. So evasion attack is about giving inputs to a system with a certain perturbation in a little bit of change, so that the system will misclassify or misbehave. And then in order to solve that, a blue team should do some kind of enhanced training to the system, and then put some perturbated inputs to the training data in order to make the system more robust to perturbation attacks. And then for the third one is about poisoning. It also happened during fine-tuning stage of the model. So by that term, I mean there's a certain of good inputs to the model, but an attacker can put some kind of input and output pair which is malicious in order to make the system skew from the internal the primary direction that is to be done by the system. So in order to solve that, the blue team should be able to probably put some verification labels to the data set. So when someone tries to hijack the data set and put some malicious input and outputs there, the one that are not verified should be omitted from the training data. And the last one is extraction, with like from a proprietary model, someone wants to get the information and try to understand how the system behaves, and then by sending lots of inputs to the system and get the output from the system, and then use that input output pairs in order to train another AI models, which hopefully can behave like the original one without like spending a lot of time and money to train that model itself. And then in order to solve that, I think the blue team should be able to limit the requests to a certain model, and also like we like covering the certainty level of the answer that is given outside the system. So those are the attacks that is potential to be handled by the blue teaming and red teaming. Return back to the landscape of AI development in Indonesia. I think I cannot speak for every developers and models here, but actually currently I'm advising local LLM development called anakjaksel.ai. You can look it up. And at that model, we have implemented lots of security measures like what I've talked about before about red teaming and blue teaming and some more. So that one is pretty much covered. But I think currently in Indonesian local AI development landscape, we are still in a very early stage in which probably most of developers still focusing more on the functionality side rather than the security side. So a lot of effort still needs to be done in order to educate or raising awareness for the current developers that the cybersecurity needs to be implemented inherently in the development of AI system. So yeah, yes, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Touching on some critical skills when it comes to identifying attacks, red teaming, blue teaming. What I'd like to do is go back to Aman Kumar, who also identified kind of the skills gap. Now we've got all these skills that we need. How does all this fit together? Is this something that should be at a consulting firm? If so, how do we know if we trust them? Is this something that like Pakistan Kata needs to be building in-house? I'm curious to know, what core competencies should today's cybersecurity teams develop to be AI literate? Is this in-house? Is it outsourced? Is it a hybrid model? And how can global organizations like EC Council support talent readiness?
Okay, so first, let us understand AI literacy. So what Bhagdito just said was AI literacy. Basically, understanding how models work, understanding what the risks that are arising out of the model. Unfortunately, at the stage that we are right now, we are only AI aware. Right? We are only like ChatGPT users, to be very honest, most of us, right? And which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing because at least we are starting, and that's where I think so. This talent building or skill building needs to come from regulators, government, because see at large, if there are any say attacks that happen on any say country, right, the ultimate blame or if it happens on a public sector, blame goes to the government. Right? So that is why the government, the training and educators like us, we need to take that responsibility that we put that security by design. We train our people in identifying threats. Right? So it has to work both on the defense part of it, offense part of it. And as EC Council, we already have a kind of AI-based certified ethical hacker which was started last year. Right? So, and we're also working on putting on online libraries. And we also work with Malaysian government very specifically in terms of providing scholarship for cybersecurity. And of course, that would have some kind of AI security as well as well. So, in a nutshell, to be an AI literate, we have to invest a lot. The organizations, the government, the academic institutions. It has to be a collaborative approach. It cannot be one ship sailing for all.
Great, thank you very much. Perhaps staying on this topic of the talent gap, AI readiness, and taking a collaborative approach toward forming an AI-safe future, I'd like to turn back to Dr. Dito, who is the executive chairman of a national AI forum called Forum Satria. And I'm curious what role you think forums such as Forum Satria should play in setting national standards for AI cybersecurity. And how do you see your forum contributing to this alignment with regulatory and operational needs at the same time?
Yeah, thank you. So Forum Satria.ai is quite a new initiative that we are building right now. The idea is multi-stakeholders involvement during everything related to AI. So currently we have multi-stakeholder involvement as well, starting from government officials. There's industry representative. There's academia. There's a community partner, and there's also people talking a lot about AI in the media, which is the key opinion leaders currently. Several of them are here right now. And I think our mission is to advocate the enactment of AI regulation in Indonesia, which isn't available right now. I know that there's several initiatives in the government, but the initiation are pretty scattered all across the board. So we want the involvement of multi-stakeholder view and also the opinion of the public to be considered in the making of the regulation itself. And the second one, we also want to promote and educate people about the bad and good thing of AI and everything. And the last one, we also want to accelerate the local AI development in order to increase the sovereignty of AI for Indonesia. So go back to how we can contribute to the regulation of AI and everything. In relation to cybersecurity, I think, for example, the representative from the academia and also from the industry can gather and collecting lots of state-of-the-art knowledge about AI and cybersecurity, and also combining that with the best practices from the industry sector, and also make some kind of recommendation that can be brought by our government representatives to all the AI discussion that has been going on in all the government bodies. For example, there's one in Ministry of Digital, there's one in Ministry of Human Development, there's one in Ministry of Economy, and also there's one in GK, for example. So there's a lot of AI discussion across the globe, and we also want all of that to be synchronized because we have the representative of each bodies, and we can, try to communicate between those initiatives using us as a hub. And I think on the other side, our community, also key opinion leader members, can also distill and also translate that recommendation into something that people can digest, but the public can digest, so they can also disseminate the importance of applying combining security in AI. For example, there's an issue of deep face right now that people can be fooled by fake receipt and just believe it. Something as trivial as that, if we can disseminate the knowledge into lots of people, I believe we can also save lots of people from getting scammed by unsecurity in this perspective. So yeah, that's the idea of Forum.
Thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of themes there just about inclusion and the democratization of AI. And you ended on a note there with scam avoidance, and that brings me back to Pak Sankata from BNE. Earlier you touched on the importance of making AI auditable and explainable, and I kind of like to pick that up. False negatives in classification can either cause negative customer experiences or perhaps too much credit risk whenever they fail. So I'm curious, how do you ensure that AI deployments across the banking ecosystem are not only resilient, but also have that transparency and that auditability?
Check. Okay, that's very interesting. Continue from Mr. Aman and Pak Dito. The keyword is explainable. Why we are so keen to implement AI in the first place? the keyword is how to explain this to business. Because from the business point of view, AI more likely add-ons. No, there's no much, I can say knowledge, education, and something similar like that in terms of business area. I know there's a lot of business people that they already learn what is the AI. But don't get me wrong, at the end of the day, business is about making the benefits. Business is about gain the profits. So as the strategic or the people that must be in the front line to quote unquote sells the AI inside our company, we must understand that everything that we are trying to offer, everything that we are trying to implement, we must make sure that it has good benefit to the company, to the bank. That's why a lot of use case can be idea, a lot of use case can be discussed, but at the end of the day, it's how you make sure that there's a lot of benefits from this implementation. I think I mean not all AI implementation is financial benefit, not all, but it will be more good if you find in your company how to quote unquote make money from the implementation of the AI. Because honestly speaking, AI is not cheap. You can find a lot of models in the internet. You can learn a lot of models, a lot of technique for the development. But at the end of the day, we are talking about research and development era. Some AI is already proven, but there's a lot of more that can be good. There are a lot of more that can be expand to implement. So, talking about how resilient us, the answer is every time in my company, every time we do the AI implementation, currently we are almost 10 plus use case implementation. At this growth, we have our own team for the development. We also got help from the outside, from our partners, business partners. But we must sure that every development of the AI is not black box. There must be a transparency, auditable area inside.
We can't just say the random forest said so.
We cannot. Definitely we cannot. All the black box, you will be banned by our security guys. It's not very convenient to have those things in place.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Sankata Lee. Finally, briefly acknowledging that we're almost out of time, I just turned to Mr. Felix Jinga. Maybe just quickly, within the context of your work, what specific strategies or technologies are you seeing that are really crucial for ensuring the integrity of the supply chains in government?
Oh, okay. So zooming in like a government procurement, like making sure our supply chain are safe from AI threats. I think still trying out new things means like we are focusing on like first maybe I'm just like simplifying things from the other speakers also, like AI for spotting troubles. So I just say it like that. Is we use like maybe AIs to look at tons of purchasing data, maybe like bidding patterns, like vendor histories, and it can help us like quickly spot if something's fishy. Is it like could be an AI-driven scam? Like imagine like an AI like trying to create a fake documents or trying to be a real vendor. So that's maybe one use case, and the other is maybe like a smarter checks, right? So of course AI can help us like do better checks, like maybe on new products uploaded, maybe like whether the image is good or something like that. It quickly can cross-reference information, flags any red flags, like or if like someone is trying to use deepfakes, like to impersonate a legitimate persons, right? And of course, like another is like staying ahead with threat intelligence. So it is pretty crucial for us to actually stay ahead of the bad guys, right? So constantly, like we need to constantly gathering, analyzing information about what the cyber criminals are doing. Their latest methods helps us predict the potential attacks against the supply chains, right? So maybe like the fourth is maybe leveraging like a world-class expertise through partnerships, like I'm saying before. So beyond just the tools, a critical part of the security strategy is like a partnering with like leading global security vendors, and these companies is like by very nature is like attract things and retain a phenomenal pool of cybersecurity talents. I mean, we already know there's a talent gaps in cybersecurity, and so many of those incredible talents is actually focused on some certain companies, maybe like if I want to say some words, maybe Google or whatsoever, right? Who knows? Maybe trying to like leveraging their services, so we can get access to that talent of that caliber, right? And also maybe always learning and adapting. So we use AI to help us with the latest cyber threats, especially those using AI. Of course, helps us continuously update our defense. Right. However, it's also important to emphasize that while AI is incredibly powerful tools, it's not a silver bullet. Like every other speaker also says, not everything needs to be AI, right? Uh, right now, every single one is like maybe, oh, how? Okay, use AI, use AI, use AI. But like a Pakistan Fatali, we really need to see whether we have the benefits or not if we're using AI. We need to be pragmatic and avoid the hype. So yes, I think that's all from me.
Thank you. I think that's a really good closing thought for us to all take home with us. I think we've had some really good insights from government procurement, banking, research and development, as well as an international consulting angle. So I thank all of our panelists for joining us today. And my apologies to the audience. We don't have any extra time for a Q&A session, but they're all super nice guys, and I'm sure they'll be happy to have a conversation with you directly if you have any questions. So thank you very much.